Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to the Evan Here's Culture campaign, the show that will never end. And today we have an amazing guest on. She's been on the show before. She is a wildly talented actress taking New York City by storm every day. It is
Oh my
great,
God.
Lily Nicholas. Lily, how are you doing?
Doing great, Evan. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, we're. I gotta stop saying we're. I just gotta use those first person. I am
Mhm.
very excited to have you on the show. Of course, last time we talked, we were talking about Mac DeMarco's 2,
Mhm.
which was an episode that came together simply because I said, "Do you want to do an episode?" You sent me a list of a few albums. The
Mhm.
one we're going to do today was on there, as was 2. I looked at 2, said, this is shorter. This is a shorter album. I'll listen to this. We'll go over there. We'll crank an episode out, and it'll come out really soon. It, of course, came out over a year
Over a year. Just a little over a
later.
year.
The pandemic happened.
Right.
Life completely changed, but the show remains the same. So that other album we talked about doing is the one we're doing today. Tyler
Yeah.
the Creator's 2017 album, Flower Boy. And I don't know if I need to beat around the bush or anything. Amazing album.
No, yeah. No beating necessary. It's
No,
a great
no
album.
need, no need to bury the lead. I'll just get right in there and say that this is an incredible piece of work. I would say near
Yeah.
masterpiece. It doesn't quite reach
Yeah.
masterpiece for me, and we'll delve into why. But
Fair.
if you're looking for something great to listen to, you can't do too much better than Flower Boy.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to why this was. I mean, beyond the fact that it is just great, why this was an album that you were particularly drawn to. I mean, what was your sort of history with Tyler the Creator? Was this the entry point, or
Mhm.
was there more stuff that led to delving into this one?
This was definitely my entry point. This is kind of, so I was 18. Yeah. And this was kind of like my my entrance into really enjoying rap on a different level. I think I had always kind of passively listened to a lot of rap. My music taste was not the most broad as a young teenager. So yeah, I mean, like just the album art already draws you in, like
Amazing cover.
alone.
Amazing
Yeah,
cover. So
yeah,
perfect. It sets up the themes of the album already, which
yeah,
is like the highest, album artwork can achieve.
yeah,
And you've got all the sunflowers KC represent
yeah.
and and the bee
Yeah,
covering up his face, those giant bees, and
right,
already you're like, what's this gonna sound like?
right,
So you
right.
saw the cover
Yeah.
and
And I mean, yeah, just I'm a big believer in, I don't know if there's a specific term for this, but like I just love the musicality aspect of rap to the tune of more vocals. And so I really like how many guest artists are on this album that kind of add that some like real rich vocals.
vocal texture. And
Yeah, yeah, that Tyler himself doesn't necessarily lean towards
he
himself as an artist. So
doesn't
vocals.
always, yeah, he's not a big singer. Or
Yeah,
when he is, it's not what makes him good as
yeah,
it's a tool he has in his toolbox, but it's not
right,
his sharpest asset that he's got going. So
right.
before I listened to this album, had never heard any Tyler the Creator before,
Mhm.
knew that he was beloved. The only thing I had seen of him was his appearance on the Eric Andre show, which was
Yeah,
it was just impossible to get a read on
yeah.
on who he was from that, because a lot of the
Oh
guests
my
on that
God.
show, like early on, were like people they're trying to make fun of almost, and he comes in, you're like, they're not who's he, is you're like, is he a genius, or are they,
Right.
no, is he just an agent of chaos? And so I had no sense of what the music was going to be
Mhm.
until at one point, I don't use the Spotify radio too much, but I think it was Garden Shed, which is on this album,
Mm.
came up on the radio.
Mhm.
Heard a little bit of it, and I was like, gotta wait until I listened to it for the show, and that was worthwhile
Oh, okay.
because
Uh-huh.
but it intrigued me. I was like, oh, this
Right.
doesn't sound like a lot of the hip hop that I've heard. This is
Yeah,
going to be
yeah.
exciting new territory, and
Right.
didn't disappoint one bit.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I guess we should just kind of jump into talking about the album itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess vaguely a concept album in some sense, or at least an album that has clear thematic
Mhm.
motifs that
Mhm.
crop up in a lot of the songs, and there's a relative narrative arc to that about Tyler maturing as an artist, maturing as a person. He's the flower
Right.
boy. He's growing up into the flower man, I guess, over
Blossoming
yeah, he's
into
blossoming.
this
As he says,
incredible artist.
he's blooming. I rock, I roll, I bloom, I
Yeah.
grow, as he says. He's dropping seeds. A lot of allusions to
Yeah.
flowers being
Flowers.
in the album. So it was kind of an interesting entry point in, because seeing as how that's the theme of the album is him maturing as an artist, having not heard the immature side, which,
Mhm.
from what I understand, from what I've read, had a lot of joking, tongue-in-cheek sort of homophobia in it, a
Mhm.
lot of, a lot more aggressive and abrasive and confrontational than maybe this album is per se. So,
Mhm.
this is as a jumping on point into, it's an interesting jumping on point, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, because this is, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say other than
No.
other
No,
than
no, no, I hear you.
hadn't heard the back catalog, and I guess that was the case with you as well, as
Yeah.
you hadn't really heard Wolf or
No.
Lynn
No.
or
Yeah.
Bastard, or what's the other one? Cherry Bomb. Yeah, hadn't
Oh, yeah, God.
hadn't heard any of that. Still haven't, but
Mhm.
I want to go back and listen to it when I find the time. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
an album about him growing, him maturing. The flower is the metaphor for that. There's hints of a relationship,
Mhm.
with another man that are kind of layered throughout the album, which is really expanded upon in the follow-up album, of course.
Right.
In
Right.
but there's a lot of through lines there, and so already just upon the first listen, I was really blown away by how
Mhm.
that all came together, instead of just being a set of tracks, how it really
Yeah.
pulled together as a piece of art and as a statement.
Mhm.
But I don't think we've even touched on the sonic quality of the music yet. I mean,
Yeah.
what was it that really jumped out to you about his sort of musicianship? Obviously,
Mm.
he's as well as the artist, he's the producer, so he's really
Yeah.
in control of all the moments on the
Yeah.
so what was it about
I'm
style?
Yeah, I mean, I think the through line of the whole album from song to song, it's something that have you listened to Renaissance?
Not yet.
Beyonce's new album. Okay, okay. Well, it's something very similar to that where it's kind of that continuous song to song. You're not really if you're just listening to it and not paying attention, it sounds like it's kind of all one piece, like you said, one big masterpiece. Or I guess not quite a masterpiece,
Yeah,
but yeah, and just the dynamics, the fact that there are tracks that are um, that just the way that they jump from this kind of like tame, groovy, um, poetic piece to this more upbeat rap kind of just back and forth so seamlessly.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. That's what jumps out on the off the top of my
The
head.
prime example, I think, of what you're saying is like the songs working in tandem and commenting on each other is when we go
Yeah.
from boredom into ain't got time, where in boredom you
Yeah.
got the chorus, find some time, and
Yeah.
right into Tyler coming in, I ain't got time, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is so awesome, and he hits hard, and
Right.
like that, segueing all the pieces together is a big strength of
Mhm.
this album. And what you were saying earlier about really enjoying the singing on it, I
Mhm.
was watching an interview with Tyler and Colbert from when around this album came out, and he asked. It was the one only like legitimate question that got in there was he was asking about the idea of like people are saying that this is the album about you maturing. How do you feel about that? And he was saying
Mhm.
that he's like, what I tried to do with this album, I really just wanted to hear singers that I liked doing their stuff and
Yeah.
creating that. And then he's like, for the rap, I wanted to keep it somewhat minimalist. I just wanted to make sure that everything I was saying was really important to me
Mm.
and really mattered. And I think, that's a lofty goal. I think he
Mhm.
achieves it.
Oh,
On,
absolutely.
and I think what's so great about the features, and they're really using. I'm sure there are other hip hop albums that do this that I haven't heard, but the features are really extensions of himself.
Mm. Mhm.
In a way,
Yeah.
it's not like in a lot of hip hop stuff you'll see like they're writing to a theme of what the song is, and every artist is coming in and giving their perspective on a thing. I feel like in
Yeah.
this, for the most part, all the features are operating as either they're the internal monologue in Tyler's head, or they're an
Mhm.
extension of the point that he's making in the rap. There are very few.
Yeah.
I feel like ASAP Rocky's feature is a little bit different, where he's giving us the ASAP
Mhm.
perspective into what who dat boy means to him,
Yeah.
right? And the Little Wayne one is didn't feel quite as an extension of Tyler, but everything
Yeah.
else, to me, that's what they felt like, pieces of him, as
Mhm.
opposed to they bring their what makes them all special into it. But I don't know, is that something that you would agree with?
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's almost like acting, like you're bringing a part of yourself to the character,
Mhm.
but you're not playing like a character, like a fictional person, that they kind of all I get what you're saying, where
They're
they
like
have their own
playing
perspective on who
the role of
he is in
Tyler.
this situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Tyler himself is like an iconic role, and they all come in
Mhm.
and provide their interpretation of
Yeah.
him. And obviously, I mean, he is a performance in and of himself. A
Mhm.
lot of the other albums, he's playing some sort of character. Um, I felt less so on this album. Maybe there's something I'm missing where he's playing a persona like he is on
Mhm.
Igor and Call Me If You Get Lost and on some of the other work. But
Yeah.
I felt that this was him. This was
Yeah.
in the album. Is there a particular feature or a particular track that really jumps out to you as being one of the highlights
Mm.
on?
I enjoy Kali Uchis on See You Again, obviously, but she's one of my favorite artists anyway. Um, yeah, that's probably the one that jumps out. I
That
don't
is,
love Jaden's feature. I would say
yeah.
it's probably the bottom for me, but
You think so that Jaden was the he doesn't bring a lot to the table per se of his own
yeah.
stuff, but as kind of a compliment to what's happening, it
It
works.
makes sense. He fits in the puzzle, but just his specific verse
Yeah,
chorus. I guess he kind of just has the chorus that's
yeah. What the watch out for the pothole.
yeah, just kind of weak
It's kind of I
in
like
my
that
opinion.
track, but I think you're right. But that is not what Tyler is able to elevate him, but only so
Hmm.
much.
Yeah.
Only so much. But I do
Right.
want to talk about that Kali Uchis feature on See You Again.
Hmm.
I mean, that is probably the best track on
Yeah.
the album. And I still do feel that way. I've maybe listened to it too much at this point to fully,
Right.
now I might have over listened to that one because it doesn't
Hmm.
excite me in the way it first did. But when I was listening to this album for the first time, I had the time cleared. I was, yeah, I'll listen to most of it. I don't know if I'll finish the whole thing. And then got to See You Again and just put it on repeat and listen to that
Yep.
over and over and over again. So I didn't listen to
Yeah.
more of the album that night because I was like, I just got to hear this one and then return to it.
Yeah.
I mean, her voice is incredible
Uh, gold,
on this
gold
track.
voice, so good. Wish I could sing like her. I
Well,
mean, when you say the best track, though, I
okay.
don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know if we're getting there yet. So.
What's the best track in your opinion?
It's got to be 911.
Well, I
Lonely.
thought that's what you might say because I did exactly the same thing. I was
Mhm.
I was doing something at the time. I was working with the Coterie, and I was doing something where I had to go pick up equipment over at Crown Center. This is very inside baseball, Kansas City.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was in the parking garage there, and I wasn't. It wasn't even putting the song on repeat. It was taking the song halfway through and just starting it over and over again to hear
Oh, okay.
just because I'm like, wow, this is so great, and
Yeah.
all the Frank Ocean stuff on there. He's so well
Yeah.
utilized
Yes. Yes.
in this album. The chirp
Yeah.
chirp. I mean,
Yeah.
all that on 911 is
Yeah.
fantastic. What is it about 911 that ratchets it up into that upper echelon for you?
Ooh, I don't know. Coming at me with the questions. I mean, it's just a good song. Like I'm just trying to think. It's just a good song. It's just I don't know. I'm like trying to think of
Well,
what rap.
I mean, vocally, I mean, you got the Frank Ocean coming in.
Yeah.
You also have,
Yeah.
I think it's still Anna of the North on that track doing the
Yes.
ring, just the ring
Yeah.
ring, which
Yeah.
almost like to musical theater and all. It has a little bit of the same energy
I guess
that
maybe that's it.
Telephone Hour does from
Yeah.
Bye Birdie, of all.
Maybe that's it for me because I'm such a musical theater nerd that it's kind of the storytelling and the embellishing vocally in that song that really does it for me.
In fact,
Yeah.
on that Colbert appearance I was talking about, this is the song they performed, and they only performed the 911 half, not the Mr. Lonely half.
Right.
So
Oh,
it was
okay.
like, and Frank Ocean wasn't there, and the vocalists weren't there, so it was like the most minimal use of Tyler over the track, and you're like, this is good, but why'd you pick this one? This
doesn't work the same
when the ensemble isn't there. You can't carry it off as a solo act. But that song is
right.
incredible. Weirdly enough, the second song that has appeared on the Culture campaign, where the chorus is somebody going 911.
Wait, what was the other one?
Noid by Eve Toomer. They repeat 911 quite a bit in that song, which will be relevant to an episode later in the show. Bookmark that right there.
Can't say I'm familiar.
A little, and you don't need to. Good albums, you don't need to be.
Okay.
This is 911. That is incredible, and there's some great bars in there. It has a shout out to Elon Musk in a time when that was still kind of considered kind of cool to shout out.
Yeah, I know. I listened to that and I was like, this didn't age well.
Didn't age well. I mean, it aged well in the sense that like it's just funny now.
Yeah.
And
still has that going for it.
He's rhyming that with Celine Dion.
Mm-hmm.
Reminded me, of course, a little bit of Dark Fantasy when Celine Dion, "Sex is on fire, I'm the king of Leon." That.
Oh,
reminds me of that a little bit. And he has a line on here that I didn't realize until today that I'd been mishearing, where he says, right when he switches into the Mr. Lonely half, which is Tyler, this is it talking about what he was saying of making sure every word is important. keeping the rap to somewhat of a minimum, or not on the back burner, but making sure it was dense and
Useful.
hard. Yes,
Yeah.
this is of this song. This is where his big rap part comes in, and he says at one point,
Hmm.
he says, "I'm playing like Hasbro. I'm really sorry. Call me Arto." Right? I had been
Hmm.
mishearing it for the longest time. I thought he was saying, "Call me Otto," but he's
Oh.
actually talking about a skateboarder named Arto Sari, who and
Oh.
Sorry is also a board game, of course. But I
Mm.
think I'm not the reason I was hearing Otto is because he's talking about Hasbro. Transformers is owned by Hasbro. I thought he was talking about
Yeah.
playing. He's talking about playing with toys. I thought
Mm.
he was talking about playing with his Autobots, his
Yeah.
Transformers. And that
Yeah.
those cars are huge, through
Oh
line
yeah, no,
this
yeah, cars
album.
are in the
So I'm thinking, oh,
right.
playing like Otto. He's talking about cars. Just a
Right.
few lines later, he's talking about, I
Yeah.
know you're sick of me talking about cars. It's like two
Yeah.
lines. So I think it is, talking about what a great writer he is. I think
Yeah.
that's deliberate, that all these
Yeah.
things are sound alikes for each other. And it's like when you see stuff like that, you're like, what a lyricist. What a
Yeah. Oh,
it's
it's incredible. Yeah, no, there were so many things in this whole album that I was like, "Oh, I had no idea that's what he was saying there." And I mean, in the last couple of days, like listening to it again for probably the first time since it first came out in order, and just the connection of these lyrics is insane.
yeah.
He is so multi-talented. It's wild.
And the way that and with all the ring ring and the 911s and the
Yeah.
phones run through the album. This isn't
Yeah.
a one-off. There's a couple interludes of it there being a radio show that's connecting these songs, but
Yeah.
all about people calling in to the radio
Mhm.
show. And then Glitter, at the end of November, they set up the idea of there being a voicemail, and then Glitter is
Yeah.
voicemail. Like
Yeah.
the phone runs through
The
the
whole
album,
thing.
which is
Yeah.
great because it's like it sort of builds up to 911 in a way that your brain isn't even necessarily I'm 100%
Working.
aware of, but it's all there, and it just strengthens
Yeah.
all those connections. So I
Yeah. All
mean,
those hints have earned that title of that
yes,
track. Yeah. For sure.
exactly. It's all the puzzle pieces come together. That's what I love so much about this. Is an album with an architecture to it,
Yeah.
a structure. I think you're exactly right that "See You Again" and 911 slash Mr. Lonely are like the two really great standouts
Yeah.
here. I mean, I liked a lot of the other stuff. Is there anything else that's jumping out to
I
you?
love Glitter. I love Boredom. Those like four tracks have been the ones that I always go back to. I mean, yeah, I Pothole is annoying to me. That's the one that okay, November. November is really beautiful though. That one gets me. Like if you really listen to it, for me, it
Yeah.
gets me kind of emotional. Um, just in the sense of that reflection of of the past that is so difficult to grasp and appreciate. I feel like I don't know that part and where it's placed in the album. I
Yes.
think is so powerful.
I didn't realize until just today that what that song was really about, and the November being the period of time in your life when everything was good, or
Yeah.
you felt at your highest. And the way they do the thing on this, where they have all the Odd Future members coming in and
Hmm.
overlapping, saying what the best time in their life was.
Yeah.
This is masterful. This is
Yeah.
this is a beautiful composition. I mean, there's even a lot of nods to like classical music through the album.
Hmm.
A lot of string work.
Yeah.
Just the way he puts it together, it gives it just such this grand scope, but yet he's able to do, the intimate
Right. And
stuff.
what you were saying about him not being a character in this album, like Igor, like Cherry Bomb, whatever, like with kind of those real people in his life coming in with just being themselves and sharing their own personal experience, and how important I think him talking about his own personal growth is reflected by including so many people in that,
Yeah.
in the album.
We should probably address. I mean, it's a bummer. Rex Orange County is
Yeah.
featured fairly heavily in this album,
Pretty
and
heavily.
tracks are good. I wasn't really familiar with him before this album, and obviously there's some allegations that just came out about him that put some of those tracks in a negative light. I think there's still, pretty. I really like Forward, which is the opening track. I like, when I was talking about, his mansion and his room's got some views, and the views get the stairs, and everything about that is so cleverly constructed. But yeah, those songs, just aren't as fun as they were anymore.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Listening back,
very unfortunate. Obviously, we're not the victims in this, just because the songs aren't as good. But
right.
Just a shame there. But every other feature besides the Jaden Smith is incredible. So yeah, I love. I think you've highlighted the great tracks. It's like, I think that's, so to say what I was saying before about how it's not quite the masterpiece for me. I just feel like there are a few things on here that don't hit as hard for me as I want them to. They all add to the grand picture of the album, of the painting. So they're great in listening to it in its entirety, but there's a few that there's really no reason, I think, to go in and pull out as single pieces, to just listen to them alone like you would with a again or a 911. And that would be like Dropping Seeds doesn't really do it for me. That's mostly Lil Wayne on there. I get that Garden Shed is like beloved, but it's not quite, it doesn't capture me as much as some of the rest.
Not a bop.
Pothole, Who Dat Boy has a great hook. So, and adds kind of that there's a bit of some of those. From what I understand, he started out being more of a horrorcore kind of rapper, that sound. And so like that song, you see some of that influence coming in, the sort of more menacing, dark beats that are coming in there. So that's like fun to see, but it doesn't quite catch me as some of the other stuff does. But it's all great. I mean, there's nothing you're like, that's a dud,
Yeah. I think I Ain't Got Time does the same thing, and in my opinion is a little catchier. But
look like, and has the really the controversial line on it, as a lot of this album does. People have, a lot of this album is related to Tyler potentially coming out of the closet, but he plays it so coy that people, speculate, and can speculate to this day, which is fascinating since the albums that follow this lean very heavy into that idea. And so Ain't Got Time has I've been kissing white boys since 2004, which is a great line. And and he precedes that line with saying essentially that is the line that's going to be controversial. So it's like he's acutely aware of how he's going to be perceived,
right?
Album, I would say, about how some of this is going to play with the fans. There's questions all throughout the album whether the fans will accept the new stuff he's kind of trying to do, or trying to reveal about himself through this album. So yeah, that song hits hard. That song is, he says, next line will have him like, whoa, I've been kissing white boys since 2004, which is the big reveal.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's a joke in the same way, because from what I understand,
Right.
he used to lean more into that Eminem kind of thing.
Yeah.
About, is it ironic,
Yeah.
or is it genuinely to offend? Which I don't think it.
No.
My take is that it wasn't. I don't know enough. I'd have to go back and listen to that more to get a sense of it. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think about that whole aspect of the
I
Tyler?
mean, like, I mean, just of that line, or
Well,
in general of
just like
movie?
the sort of the coyness is strange. The fact that people,
Mm.
go in there and they're like, "What's he saying? Is he revealing something to us, or is it, you know?"
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think that's the minority of people that are perceiving it that way. Um, I mean, I think he's just a queer artist who has been honest about that,
Yep.
and he has the ability to be honest about that. And I mean, like, I don't know, not to like really get into it, but I mean, for Black men, that is, I think, different in a lot of ways. Just sexuality is a much bigger deal typically in Black communities. So I feel like maybe that's where some people are misconstruing the
Yeah.
meaning or the intent behind it. I don't know.
Or there's even in some people, like some fans aren't willing to accept it in a
Except,
way. It's like they still want
right.
to love the music, but they don't quite want to accept,
Yeah.
the man behind it, which he,
Yeah.
acknowledges on the album. I mean, that's one thing that's always really impressive is when somebody is able to anticipate the response to what the reaction to
Yeah.
their work is going to be within the work itself. Always blows me away. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know if I have much more to say. I think there's just so many wonderful moments. The whole thing is really fantastic
Mhm.
throughout. I mean, obviously, yeah, this came out, in 2017, still in the 2010s. One
Mhm.
thing that a lot of people have mentioned to me when I told them about, that I'm going off of this Pitchfork list and we're going through those, they've been surprised that Igor, which came out in 2019, isn't on there. I was
Hmm.
wondering, do you have any feelings about that?
I mean, I didn't and haven't loved Igor in the same way, so
Yeah.
I I'm not surprised. I mean, I think it's a fun album. And I think I listened to like some of the songs like once or twice. I don't think I ever like got into it the same way as Flower Boy, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better than some stuff we've done, but like if you're gonna pick one,
Yeah.
if they're just trying to do a representation of what the decade was like, and you're gonna pick one
Yeah.
Tyler album, I think
Yeah.
Flower Boy is the right call. I like Igor a lot. I've listened to it a few times. Didn't like Call Me If You Get Lost as much, but I got to give it another chance. Just
Hmm.
the DJ drama of it all was
Yeah.
a little too much for me.
Disruptive.
A little
Yeah.
too disruptive of the flow of it. I would
Yeah.
say the thing that I like about Flower Boy more than Igor is that even though it's the narrative and there's the concept of Igor and that the relationship that's depicted there, I feel like Tyler somewhat gets lost on that album. I feel
Mm.
like all the features, which, none of the titles of those have the credit of the feature in it. So you're kind of playing spot the feature of who's that? Who's that? Ooh, who's
Yeah.
singing here? And I feel like he gets lost in the mix of
Yeah.
that one. And then, you know, Call Me If You Get Lost leans so heavily into the rap, which he is great at, but and then the DJ dramas there kind of interrupting all that. So
Yeah.
Flower Boy does it all. He doesn't
Yeah.
get lost. He incorporates all the singers he wants, pulls it all together, pulls all his
Yeah.
strengths. He's going from strength to strength in that
Yeah.
album. So Lily, do
It
you
is.
have any sort of final thoughts on the album? I think we're both in agreement that it's a really spectacular, piece of work. But
Yeah, I mean, it was great revisiting it. I've been quite the podcast person lately, so it was nice kind of listening to a full album, um, just kind of fully focusing in and remembering just how good his musicality, his Tyler as a lyricist, just an artist, the fact that he produced this whole album, like it really is. It's a work of art.
Yeah.
I won't say masterpiece. I almost said masterpiece, but
Yeah. I don't want to be the guy who's, setting the bar. But so we're in agreement that can't doesn't hit the 10,
yeah,
perfect 10, but it's so high and
yeah,
very close to doing it, and so close it doesn't really matter. Go listen
right.
to it regardless. So
What is it? What number is it on the list?
on this list, it's like 120. Counting
120,
down
okay.
to with one being the best album.
Right. Okay.
So 120 felt. We'll have to see. We'll have to see where I feel. If I feel it should be a higher number once we get through the whole
Yeah.
thing. But right now, I'm
Wow.
feeling very positive about it. I think it might be, of what we've done so far, definitely top 5, maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
so good. So that's all there is to say, really. Lily, do you have anything to plug? Anything going up? I know last time you plugged your Venmo. Did you receive
Oh.
any
No.
funds from anybody?
I don't think I did.
They
If I
didn't.
did, I
No.
forgot. No, it's okay. I won't plug my Venmo this time. Not at the moment, but stay tuned. My Instagram is Lily Rose Nicholas. So that's where, if I ever post, which I rarely do, I will post anything I'm doing. Probably on there.
Could be amazing. So,
Right.
so there's the episode. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on.
Thank you, Evan, for having me again. It was a pleasure.